Welcome to the Balanced Hustle podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Sherman, fitness coach for burnt out perfectionists. If you're ready to break free from overwhelm, simplify your nutrition, and make fitness finally work for you instead of against you, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into easy strategies to balance your health with your busy life. Let's hustle for balance, not burnout. Grab a seat and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. We are on episode number 14 already, which is crazy. And I did something very unlike myself today when I started to record, and that is that I did not, I almost just started recording without testing my microphone, which normally I test it like 6 times to make sure that it's in the right port, because after 13 podcasts, I still don't know which port it goes into on my computer, like which side it plugs into. And if you plug it into one side, it's staticky, and if you plug it into the other side, it's perfect. So I almost started recording in the one that's staticky. So maybe I'm getting a little too confident here in episode number 14, but I'm glad to have you here. Today we are going to be talking about morning routines, as you can see in the title of the episode. And this is a really great topic. I'm super excited to talk about it. It is something that I have struggled with many times and that I've readjusted many times. And it was on my mind this week because it's something that I am reworking again currently, and I feel like a morning routine is something that we are kind of always reworking throughout different stages in our lives, very similar to a workout routine too, right? And it can feel discouraging when you have to kind of rework your routine or when you fall out of routine. I just don't know why sometimes it's so hard to get up on time. Like, even when you go to bed on time, for a long time, my problem was that I was not going to bed on time, and I was staying up way too late. If you hear my dog in the background, again, she cannot let me record a single podcast without pressing her buttons. She has those dog buttons, and we just introduced buttons that say mom and dad, so we're trying to teach them to press the button for mom, me, or dad, my husband. I don't think they know what they mean, but they like to press them for an attention an awful lot. But if you hear any talking in the background, that's my dog. So, what was I saying? I was talking about morning routines. I got off track. You guys, I actually just had to pause recording and go back and listen to where I was because I got that off track. But what I was talking about was that for the longest time, my problem was not being able to go to bed on time. Like, I would stay up till 1, 2 in the morning, just doing absolutely nothing productive, just being on my phone. And part of that was because I was in a job that I really dreaded going to every day. So I just enjoyed prolonging my evenings at home before I went to work. Let me know in the comments or hit me up on Instagram if any of you have felt that before, where you just want to stay up way too late because it's like you don't want the next morning to come. Yeah, we need to get out of that. If you're in that right now, definitely DM me on Instagram. We need to talk about that. That's a whole topic for another day. But I have since started going to bed at a reasonable hour every night, but I still would sleep in far too late in the mornings because my body's like, oh, we're sleeping now. We want to keep sleeping. So I've had to make adjustments to my morning routine over time, ever since I left that job and I had a job that was more of a 9 to 5. I can sleep in later, and I've, for the longest time, just been taking full advantage of that. But I do find that when I get up earlier than I need to, when I get up a couple hours before I need to start my day, and for those of you who don't know, I work a full-time 9 to 5 job on top of my fitness coaching business. So making that time to do my coaching work and prioritizing that so that things don't get left till the end of the day after work is a big priority for me. So when I am in a routine where I can get up a couple hours before I need to leave for my 9 to 5 and knock off some tasks, knock off some priority things at the very beginning of the day, and also take some time for myself, have some hot cocoa, maybe do a little journaling. I've recently started to try meditation, which I know, like, for some of you, and for me also, it can kind of sound like a little woo-woo. You guys know what woo-woo is? Like, when it's like something that's just sounds kind of weird to a lot of people. I've started to try meditation. I've only done it a few times so far. They're like the ones I've done have been like 3-minute meditations, so nothing too crazy, but just for the purpose of trying to get me to take a moment in the beginning of the day to pause before waking up and being like in that full panic mode and jumping into everything that needs to get done. That has actually so far, I think, been really helpful. I haven't done it long enough to, say all the benefits and if I love it and all of that, but I'm trying that out. But I do find, like I was saying, when I make time to have that morning routine, it just sets such a better tone for my day. I have never once left the house, in a panic, in a rush, and really felt good about myself. Things start to happen when you are rushed in the mornings. You can't maybe make the breakfast that you need to make. So you skip breakfast. You don't eat breakfast, and then you're starving till lunch. You can't focus till lunch. Or you take something like just out of the pantry that's like, I don't know, maybe you take a piece of candy or a granola bar, and it's really not going to do it for you for the rest of the morning. You might forget your lunch. You might forget to pack your lunch. You kind of run around and maybe you're late for work and, you've got these things that you've got to check off your list. Like for me, I've got to make sure that the dogs are fed and they've got fresh water and they've got their toys in their room. And this time of year, I need to check the pellet stove and make sure it has pellets to keep the house warm while we're gone for the day. And also just check and make sure it's not going to burn the house down. Just, all of the things that you check on your house before you head out the door. And when you're rushed, those things start to get sacrificed. You yourself, your mental health starts to get sacrificed because you're just waking up and you're throwing yourself into all these things that need to get done, and you need to get to work on time, and maybe you don't get to work on time. And I really encourage you to try and develop a morning routine this year in 2025. Take the next month, focus on a morning routine, because let me tell you, it makes a world of difference when you start your day in control of your day. That is the biggest piece of this. It's not necessarily about being the most productive in the mornings. That's not necessarily what a morning routine is about. Although I do like to do a few productive things in the mornings. I like to make my bed. I like to check off some coaching, some work tasks, check in with my clients. I like to do some productive things in the mornings, but it's not necessarily all about that. What it's really about is you starting the day in control of your day and you owning that morning. And you're the boss of that morning, right? The morning is not the boss of you, because when that happens, it just escalates into everything that occurs the rest of the day. And then when you get home from work, it's like you're still out of control because you only have so much time before you have to go to bed again, right? So having that grasp first thing in the morning, starting your day intentionally, it's just made a world of difference for me. It's something I will admit I am currently working on right now, improving. There are days when I sometimes don't get up until 20 minutes before I need to leave the house. I will admit that. I'm not ashamed to admit that. But let me tell you, I hate those mornings. Like, my body wants to stay in bed. My brain knows it's not right. And then when that happens, when I allow my body to win, I have such a crappy morning and I like kick myself for it, right? So it is something I am working on improving. And 100% of the time that I get up early, that I get up on time, I never regret it. 100% of the time, I never regret showing up for myself and taking control of my mornings. Even if maybe I had a later night, because occasionally you have later nights and maybe I'm a little bit more tired throughout the day. That does happen occasionally, and maybe I just take a nap in the afternoon. When I get home from work, I take a short nap. But it's an adjustment. It's always an adjustment, but it is so worth it. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I understand it can be so hard to get up in the morning. And again, it starts with that bedtime routine. So we're kind of focusing on morning routines for today, but just remember it does start with the bedtime routine. So that is super important to play a key role into all of this, right? So when we are looking at developing a morning routine, maybe you have one, maybe you don't. Maybe you want to optimize your current routine a little bit more. We can work on that today, right? So the one thing I do want to avoid when we're looking at setting up the perfect morning routine for you is making the routine overcomplicated. So we don't need to do everything right in the morning, right? We don't need to be the most productive person in the morning. And I'm a fitness coach, and I don't even believe that you need to wake up in the morning and work out. You can save that for later. If the mornings are your time to just get up, have some coffee, have some hot chocolate. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I always have to throw in hot chocolate. If it's just your time to get up and have some you time, maybe you have kids and maybe you just need some quiet time in the morning to get up, to read. Maybe you have like a YouTuber you like to watch. I know everyone's says, oh, don't get on your screens first thing in the morning. This is up to you. This is making the morning routine that works best for you. You don't have to be one of those people on Instagram who wakes up at 5 in the morning, gets in an hour workout, does all the Instagram girly, fit girly things. You don't have to do this perfectly. The perfect routine is the one that works for you and serves the purpose that you want it to serve. So for me, particularly, my purpose is to start my mornings a little bit slower, to be in control, to not feel rushed, so that when I leave the house, I can leave on time with my breakfast, with my lunch, feeling good, and to also check off some tasks in the morning to not only help me feel productive and to help me honestly be a better coach by getting certain things just done earlier in the day and having control in my business. Those are the reasons why I do this in the morning, right? So we really need to think about your reasons, about why you do things, and then create a routine that surrounds those reasons that's not overly complicated just for us to call it the perfect morning routine, okay? So I want you to think about what your why is. And I was talking about this with a client. I was talking about this with a family member earlier this week about what our whys are for why we want to wake up. And for both of them, in their cases, it was actually to get a workout in the morning before their days just got so busy and they kind of lost track of time and had other people overwhelming had other people what's the word I'm looking for, just getting kind of in the way, maybe not on purpose, but had other things popping up and getting in the way of them getting that workout in. So for them, their reason to wake up earlier was to get that workout in. And then we can take that a step further. What is your why for why this workout needs to happen? Not only because it's not going to happen if we save it for later in the day, but is it because you need to lose those 20 pounds before summer to help you feel confident when people start busting out the shorts? It's always, especially for me, because I live in upstate New York where it's cold until maybe May. I mean, today it's 40. It's February and it's 40 and it's a heat wave. But what I'm saying is when people start busting out the shorts, it takes me a bit of time to adapt. And not even because of how I feel about my body, but just because it's like, oh, my legs are white. I have not seen sun in 5 months. So, what is your why behind why that exercise needs to happen? Is there an event that you have coming up? Maybe it's a wedding. Maybe it's a vacation, a trip. Maybe you just set this deadline for yourself that you need to lose this weight by. And it could be something other than losing weight. There are obviously plenty of reasons to work out. That's just an example. It could be for your mental health, right? There are a number of things that could be your why, your deeper why, as to the reason this is important to fit it into your morning. So if you are kind of struggling with waking up on time and making it a priority to get up on time, if this is something you want to work on, I would really encourage you to journal around what your why is and the importance of doing this. And then also feel free to journal about the sacrifices you're going to have to make. Are there going to be things that maybe need to get moved around? Are you going to have to wake up a little bit earlier? What sacrifices do you need to make? And when you look at your why and your goals, is that a fair trade-off, right? Is it worth it to you to sacrifice, maybe an hour of sleep in the mornings? And remember, it's all about bedtime too. So we're not saying you get an hour less sleep each night. Is it worth it to you to go to bed a little bit earlier, to wake up a little bit earlier, to make sure that workout happens because you want to feel bomb and fire in your body when summer comes? Is that a fair trade-off? I would say for most of us, it would be, right? And again, I'm not asking you to go very far. I don't want you to go so far out of your norm that this is super, super hard, right? So if you normally get up at 6 a.m., maybe you can keep getting up at 6 a.m., but maybe we rework the routine a little bit. Maybe we send some things into the afternoon that we can make some space for to prioritize other things in the morning. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we don't get up any earlier if that works for you. Maybe we do get up a little bit earlier, but let's not say we're going to get up like 2 hours earlier, right? Like we watch the people on YouTube. We watch the girlies on YouTube and they're up. They're like, my 4 a.m. morning routine. And they've like lived a whole day by the time it's 8 a.m. And it's like, was that completely necessary? Like everything that you did in this video, is that doesn't seem necessary for my life, right? You don't have to do that. You don't have to force yourself to get up super, super early. And also, it's not really realistic when it comes to your goals anyway, because the harder you make this barrier for yourself, the less likely you're going to be to do it, right? So if you're someone who gets out of bed at, 10 a.m. every day, maybe you're retired. Maybe you're retired and you're listening to this and you get out of bed at 10 a.m. every day. Or maybe you work the night shift, right? We're just throwing out hypotheticals. Maybe you're up at 9:30. Maybe that extra half hour gives you what you need to start your day in control and to carry out the rest of your day in a better fashion. Does that make sense? So I highly recommend you having some type of routine. And again, it's not even about doing anything productive at all. It's just about having that grasp on your day before your day starts. So if you are in agreement with me, let's assume so. Let's assume you're in agreement with that. And let's give you some tips for making this happen, right? So we've already talked about bedtime, setting a realistic bedtime. Again, it's the same thing as waking up. If you are not going to go to bed at 7 p.m., do not force yourself to go to bed at 7 p.m. I'm not going to bed before 9, 10 p.m. I'm like 10, 10:30, 11, depending on the day. In college, that used to be 2 a.m. It changes depending on what stage of life you're in. If you're my husband, you're ready for bed by 7 or 8 p.m., which I can't understand, but maybe that's you. So set a realistic bedtime that works for you. Maybe you go to bed a little bit earlier. Maybe you don't. There is no right or wrong answer. This is what works for you, okay? Now let's talk about the morning side of things. What happens in the morning? One tip that I have found to be very helpful, even though personally it makes me not enjoy myself, is moving your alarm across the room. So putting your phone across the room so that you have to physically get up to turn that alarm off is very effective. I've done this many times in the past. I'm not currently doing it now because I can get myself to wake up, and I like to kind of just wake up and lay there for a minute and then get out of bed. I don't like being jolted and then like running out of bed to turn my alarm off. I also found a lot of the time I would just get back in bed after that and fall asleep. It may work for you. It may not. These are some tips that you can try. It has worked for me in the past. Just keep in mind different things work for different people. So that is one, moving your alarm across the room. Another one that some people use is the 5-second rule. So when your alarm goes off and you wake up, you count down from 5. And you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm up, right? I'm getting up when I get to 1. I have used this before when I have been kind of stuck on the couch. And like when you are just kind of lounging around all day, like a body in rest. A body in rest will stay in rest? I feel like that's not exactly how it is. A body in motion will stay in motion. It's like hard to get up, right? So when I've been lounging on the couch all day, I don't want to get up and do a workout. No. So I've used the 5-second rule before, and I've literally not even like had something I needed to do, but just knew that I needed to get up. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to count down from 5. When I get to 1, I'm going to stand up. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. If I don't have something in particular to do, but I am going to walk around and not sit down until I have done something on my feet. And sometimes it's just like picking up the dog toys off the floor in the living room and like putting them in their little basket and just tidying up a little. And then that gives me the motivation to go do something else. That counting down from 5. And it's like, I don't even have to do, anything. I just need to get up. So that might work for you in the morning too. Another one has been letting in natural light as soon as possible. Helps reset your internal clock to wake up naturally. Now, if you live somewhere like I do, where it is dark, where it's dark in the morning when you want to be waking up, I do have one of those alarm clocks. I forget the brand of it, but it's the alarm clock that brightens your room when your alarm goes off. And I found that can be really helpful to just kind of have my body naturally wake up with the lightening of the room. The one I bought was not super expensive. I want to say it was under $30. It could have been under $20. It was not super expensive. So that could be something that you want to look into also. And then the last one, and of course there's tons of tips out there, but these are just a few I want to name off that I found beneficial for me, is to have something to look forward to. And I think this has actually been the most beneficial for me because, again, like I was saying, your morning routine doesn't have to be you jumping up and setting the world on fire. It could just be something that you want to get up and enjoy before your day starts, or enjoy before you start setting the world on fire. So starting your day by having something to look forward to has been very helpful to me. It could be having a robe by the side of your bed and you just getting up, putting on your robe, feeling comfy, and going to get some hot chocolate, right? It could be getting up and going outside and listening to some music. Probably not ideal now when it's so cold out, but maybe you live somewhere where it's not freezing outside. But like I said, it's 40 now, so we're having a heat wave. But just finding something that is an enjoyable ritual for you, that's almost kind of like a treat for you to get up to, has been something that has really helped me out. So, I have one more actually. So this is for if you are a little bit ADHD in the morning, like if you find yourself just jumping around from task to task. I have used some apps before that have really helped me out, and they have been, they're like called like routine apps. If you go on the App Store and you type in like morning routine apps, there are free ones out there. I can't remember off the top of my head which one I'm currently using, but if you DM me on Instagram, I will send it to you. So just let me know if you're looking for that, because sometimes you do have to dig for an app that won't charge you to create routines. And I don't know if I can only create one routine or more on this one. Some will let you create one routine for free and then will charge you for the next ones. Don't pay for that, okay? It's not worth it for you to pay for that, okay? Because there are free ones out there. And what these apps do is you basically set your routine up in the app and you say at 6 a.m. I want to wake up and I want to go to the bathroom and brush my teeth and blah, blah, blah. You put it into your app. And then you can say, okay, by 6:30, I want to be, making breakfast. Okay, you put it all in your app. And then what it will do is when you wake up, you can click start on your routine. And it will walk you through your routine, letting you know when you should be moving along to the next thing. And I don't want you to get too crazy with this. Like I said, I don't want you to make it overly complicated. Like, for these 2 minutes, I'm going to do this. And then for these 5 minutes, I'm going to do this. Like, make it simple, okay? But make it structured. If that's what you need, if you need structure and you're a little bit ADHD in the morning and you're all over the place and you don't know where to start and you're thinking about everything, make it structured. And what I really like about this is a lot of times in the mornings, like I'm always checking the clock. Like, oh my God, what time is it? Do I have to leave soon? How much time do I have left until I have to head out the door? And what I like about this is you can put your routine in the app. You can kind of plan out your time. It will tell you when you will be done with your routine, which is really nice because I know like that I can just focus on what I need to focus on and then just follow along with the app, and I will be out the door on time, which is really helpful for me with work tasks because sometimes I will get into like a client message or a client programming thing, and then I almost feel a little bit distracted because I'm looking at the time when what I want to do is just get really focused on what I'm doing for my client. So this has helped me a ton because I can say, like, I want to take an hour of work time, from 7 to 8 a.m., and it will time it for me, and I will just have to wait until it tells me that I need to move on to the next thing. So I've really enjoyed that when I do use it. And that might sound terrible for you. That might be too much structure for you. If you're like type B, you're like, whoa, that is really like kind of holding me down. You don't have to do it. It's just another tool that you could use. So to wrap it all up here, again, I want you to start small. Don't make it overcomplicated. I want you to remember your why. I want you to write down your why and maybe kind of journal around that so that when you are getting up in the morning, you can repeat that to yourself. This is why I am doing this. This is why it is important to me. This is why it matters and why I need to follow through even though it feels hard. And it will feel hard some mornings, especially if you're getting up a little bit earlier than you're used to. It will be hard. And sometimes the only advice I can give you is just to do it, to just get up. And it sounds obviously easier said than done, but sometimes we can use all the tips in the world and we just need to build that muscle and build that willpower to consistently do it. Maybe the first week you only follow through 2 times. Maybe next week you follow through 3 times. And you just build that habit and you practice building that habit. It can take practice, right? But make it enjoyable. Make it something you want to do, not just something that you feel like you should do or that you need to do and is a chore, right? Make it enjoyable. Make it work for you. Make it valuable for you to show up to it every morning, okay? So if you are working on your morning routine, I'm going to challenge you to choose one tip to try tomorrow morning and to take a look at your routine, your current routine, maybe write down your current routine and maybe write down what your ideal routine is, keeping in mind that it needs to be realistic for your life, okay? So don't just list off a million things that you would ideally like to do in the morning. We need to stay realistic. And I want you to kind of think about what that would be, what that would look like, or at least where you can start and maybe develop it from there. And then choose one tip to try tomorrow morning to help get you going in that routine. And then I want you to let me know. Let me know about it in the comments here. Let me know on Instagram. I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your questions, hear anything else that's worked for you that's been a tip that you've heard maybe somewhere else that's really helped you. And just keep sharing and working on this together so that you can, again, take control of your day from the very beginning and not let your day control you. Because that's when we start to get burnout. That's where we start to feel like we're lost, like we're behind, like we're struggling. Important things start to get thrown to the side. And then before we know it, we've got this mountain of things to do and things that, we haven't been able to prioritize or haven't had a clear mind to prioritize. And we start to get stressed. And I don't want you to get stressed. That's why I'm here for you. Okay. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. And I will see you next week in the next one. All right. Talk soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Balanced Hustle podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Be sure to leave a review or share with someone who needs a little extra balance in their hustle. For more tips, tools, and resources to help you reclaim your energy and build the strong, vibrant life you deserve, follow me on Instagram at LindsaySherman_fitness. And don't forget to subscribe here so you don't miss a single episode. Until next time, remember, progress is always better than perfection. Keep taking those small steps. They'll tell you exactly where you need to go. Talk soon.